All right, so we're going to continue on with a little bit of old school, new school hand analysis, starting with the old school and the loosey-goosey, find out where you're at kind of stuff. And in this hand, that actually sort of holds true. A little bit of find out where you're at with the ace-king. And this hand happened in the World Series of Poker 2015, I believe, against Joe McKeehan, who ended up winning, and I was deep, ended up coming 11th place. And on my way to 11th place was a key hand here, where I made a very interesting decision. So let's put on our old school brains, right? Okay, old school brain. We're going to start with, all right, old school brain. All right, I don't need to take no chances. I don't need to run no bluffs. Small ball poker, just have it, right? Nickel and dime, just get away. You get 2-hour levels. I don't need to do anything stupid. Let's just play, careful poker. I got plenty of chips right now. I'm sitting on like 12 million, right? And I got a bunch of weak players at my table that I can just chop away at, right? Small ball. Just come in for little raises here and there, plop my way to the final table. No need to take any big risks, right? So blinds are 100,000, 200,000 with a 40K ante. Under the gun, player Guan raises to 400K. That's a min raise. He's got a couple sixes. And now Joe McKeehan 3-bets to 1.125 million. And it folds around to me, who I believe I'm in the big blind here. And I pick up the old ace-king. Right? So now you're seeing a raise from under the gun, and you're seeing Joe McKeehan, who's like a young kid, who's probably like a little more loosey-goosey than, some of the older guys at the table, some of the weaker recs. I know the guy's like pretty, like a pro or pretty close to a pro. I wasn't really totally sure, but I got ace-king. So I'm sitting on like I said, about, 12 million here. I feel like ace-king's a good spot to just squeeze it and just win it right here, right? Question is, how much do I want to raise? I don't want to go too crazy with it. So he made it 1.1. I'm just going to go like another 1.5-ish, 2.6 million, and then like reassess, if you will, after I put that in. Like hopefully they both fold, But if the guy under the gun goes all in, like, I got to be worried, because the guy who goes all in after, raise 3-bet and a 4-bet, and he goes 5-bet all in, what the heck's that hand going to be? It's going to be pretty damn strong, especially when I 4-bet, because I'm not the 4-bet, 3-bet, 4-bet guy, especially in this era. I'm going to have it here a high percent of the time. For me, in my range, ace-king's kind of a bluff. So it folds. First guy folds, and now Joe McKeehan goes all in, okay? So I made some assumptions here about Joe and his perception of me. He knew who I was. He knew my tendencies. He seemed like a smart kid. So I figured he knew I wasn't messing around, right? Like, he knew that when I 4-bet, like, I got a really, really strong hand. Especially when you consider the fact that, like, the first raise came under the gun, he 3-bets, and I just cold 4 from, like, the big blind. Like, that's so out of character for my small ball approach. So it means I've got a really, really good hand. As it turns out, I've got one of the worst hands I would have, because I wouldn't even do that with ace-queen. I'd probably just fold ace-queen, ace-jack. If I had, like, 9s or 10s, maybe I flat, but I wouldn't even 4-bet those hands. So now the question is, like, if I'm thinking, like, okay, so what does Joe think I got, right? Joe thinks I got a really, really strong hand, super strong. So he doesn't think I'm folding. So what the heck did he have when he goes all in, right? Then I have to think about, all right, well, do I want to just gamble here and hope that he doesn't have aces or kings and just has queens? Or do I want to just protect my stack? Because I got 10 million. If I just give up this 2.6 that I put in, I still got 10 million. That's a ton in the main event with 2-hour levels, and the skill advantage that I have. We're talking about 50 big blinds. We just want to get it in and hope in a coin flip situation at best. Sure, maybe he has ace-king or whatever, but I guess the way I look at it is like I don't really need those chips, Like, I don't have to have this pot. And it's just a lot of risk, and I don't want to take any risks. As I said, this is 2015. I'm a big favorite in this main event. People are scared of me. I can continue to maneuver without taking the risk. So I go ahead and say, you know what? All right, Joe, I feel like, I can let this one go down. And again, I don't think he's bluffing ever, right? So if he's not bluffing, what the heck? What am I hoping he has the same hand and we're flipping? That's pretty much it. I don't even know if he would have done that with queens. I think maybe with queens, he just calls. I don't even think that he would just, re-raise. So I go ahead and make the fold, and found out later on the TV broadcast that we done good. He had the pocket aces. All right. Doodaloo. Let's get back to 2021. We're going to go over this hand once again. Main event. Strong skill advantage. Even back then, it would be even bigger today if I could go back in time, of course, because, all the game is advanced and I've advanced with it. Player under the gun makes a standard raise, 2x. Joe McKeehan makes it about 5.5x, which is like actually fundamentally a good size raise for a 3-bet when the stack sizes get a little bit more shallow, and the under the gun player was relatively shallow. I was large stacked, but you don't target your raise size for the big blind. You're targeting it against the opener, and I like his sizing choice here, about 5.5 times the blind, or 5.5 blinds. And now it comes over to me, and I pick up the ace king. So I have what's really a standard 4-bet here. Although it is a little bit precarious because of the ranges from under the gun are supposed to be pretty conservative. Joe McKeehan knows that. So for him to 3-bet, his range should be pretty tight. But ace king is just too strong a hand. You're not going to flat here. I think it's just an automatic 3-bet. The question is, what are we going to 3-bet to? I elect to make it right around 13x, 13 times the blind, coming over the 5.5, which seems pretty good. I'm not sure if that's exactly the right number because I don't remember the exact stack sizes, but I think he was sitting on about 10 million, which is about 50 big blinds. So when you are 4-betting here, you want to leave yourself a little bit of wiggle room because in theory, you should have some bluffs here as well. I didn't. That was my bluff. Okay. 2015 ace king was the bluff. Today, I would incorporate a lot more hands into this range that are bluffs. Some ace 4 suiteds, maybe some ace 5 suited, not a ton of bluffs again, because you shouldn't be bluffing too much here, but you shouldn't be 4-betting too much, right? So the range of hands that are going to 4-bet is very minimal, right? So you don't need a lot of bluffs. If, for example, just an extreme example, if you're 4-betting queens plus an ace king, right? To balance that range and have enough bluffs, you don't need all that much. Ace queen, you could use as a bluff. Ace jack suited, you can use, some maybe like one or two combos of like 7-8 suited if you choose, or queen, or actually probably not. Those are probably good ones. You probably want to have a blocker, so stick with the ace 4, ace 5, ace 3 type suited hands, which are generally used to balance bluffs, right? When you're thinking about what a GTO game theory robot would do in this situation in terms of how they would construct a range. Again, it's going to be mostly nutted hands. And then you just need a couple of bluffs in there to have balance. So ace king, again, as I said, this was a hand that back then was my bluff, right? Now it wouldn't necessarily be my bluff, but it would be probably the midpoint of my range, I would say, because I'm going to have jacks plus ace king. And again, as far as, weaker bluffs be like ace queen, I would consider that a bluff in this spot. And then, of course, some, ace 3, ace 4 suiteds, those types of hands. So I go ahead and 4-bet, and now it folds around back to Joe McKeehan, and Joe McKeehan goes all in for 50 bigs. And now when I'm constructing his range, okay, so I don't believe that jacks is doing this ever. I give this kid a lot more credit than to just get it in with jacks in this spot. Against the range, especially in that era, that's going to be pretty tight. Like my range looks like, again, jacks plus ace king. Against that range, you don't really want to get it in with jacks because you're up against 18 combos of big pairs, queens, kings, or aces, right? 6 of each. And then, combos of ace king, which is 16. So against that range with jacks, you're completely dead, have 20% equity against 18 of them. And the other 16, you're flipping a coin. So there's nothing good about that. You're never in good shape with jacks. Having said that, I would expect if he did have jacks that he would flat. Same, I think, holds true for queens. He may actually do that with kings as well, I thought, simply because, I don't know, like he can just, play the hand in position. But anyway, my thought process today would be, all right, I have ace king. So if part of his shoving range is ace king, how many combos of ace king are left? Well, there's 3 aces, right? And there's 3 kings. So 1 ace goes with 3 kings, 1 ace goes with 3 kings, 1 ace goes with 3 kings. That's 9. So there are 9 combinations of chops, right? Then there are, okay, so we have 1 ace, which leaves 3 left, which leaves 3 combinations of aces, okay, and which is really bad for us, and another 3 combinations of kings, okay? So there's 6 total combinations we're dead on, and then there are 9 combinations where we're chopping. So I would break it down from that perspective, but then I would take it a step further and ask myself, like, is Joe always jamming ace king here? In the main event with 2 tables to go, and he's deciding to just YOLO gamble against one of the good players at the table? I don't think so. I think so. While there are 9 combos of ace king, the question is, would he do this with ace king suited? right? I wonder if with ace king suited, he might take it one way or the other and either A, take a flop with it because the hand plays pretty well post flop, or decide to use his suited combos as his jams and then flat with his ace king offs. I don't believe that he is always jamming ace king here in this situation. I think he's flatting some of the time. So when you discount that, now you're talking about 6 combos of aces and kings, 3 of aces, 3 of kings. And then if we discount about half of his ace kings, that leaves 4.5. So now he's heavily weighted towards either having us dead to 20% equity, or no, not even. If he has aces, we don't have 20% equity. We've got way less than that. And then if he's got kings, we've got about 30%. So this proposition all of a sudden, especially, ICM considerations in the main event, sitting on a 50 big blind stack, it would be a cardinal sin for me to get it in here with ace king, considering the ranges are so linear and so defined. This isn't a case where Joe McKeehan's ever going to be like, oh, ace-6 offsuit. Why do we know that? First of all, an under-the-gun player raised off the reasonable size stack, and he's 3-betting, right, against an under-the-gun player. So already his range is tighter. I 4-bet. Daniel Negreanu, the knit, small ballers, 4-bet. So my range is super tight. Folds around back to Joe. His 5-betting range should be incredibly tight. Should have virtually no bluffs in there, right? So if he doesn't have any bluffs in there, my best case scenario is a chop, but my worst case scenario is very bad. And this was a case where I was in a worst case scenario situation and got away from it, factoring in ICM considerations and whatnot. It just made mathematical sense. When I did the calculation in 2015, I didn't think about the combos of ace king and aces and kings. I didn't really understand how to break hands down that way. But when you do it from that perspective and you can discount, say, for example, half of his ace kings, you just see right on paper. This isn't like white magic, crazy, sick read thing. It's just like fundamentally a good play when you correctly assess that opponent's range here is going to be very strong. And I'm talking not ace queen suited, not all the ace kings, no jacks, probably not queens either, just aces, just kings, and just ace king. That proposition isn't one I want to get involved in with ace king offsuit. So hope that made sense for you all. Hope that you see the difference in the evolution in terms of how to think about a hand and on your journey as a tournament player. If you are from the old school, I hope this isn't too intimidating for you, but maybe little bits and pieces here and there, will help you, will help open up, your eyes to a potentially new world of sort of advanced theory. And, that's where the game is at today. And it's even, listen, the way that I'm speaking it, I'm still explaining it in a way that, the average Joe can understand. Joe, pardon the pun. But there's very high level ways in which you can break down these hands, even more so than I shared with you. But I want to make it somewhat palatable for a wider audience. So if you enjoyed the video, you want to see more of these, click subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. Leave a comment. Let me know if you agree with my assessment in the comments. I'll jump in there and tangle with you. But be nice, or I will click the block button. We don't need no haters around here. Peace.